kind of considered delegitimizing if you have like another source of income that's not music, unless it's selling drugs, unless it's credit card fraud. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and you see all those people all the time in mainstream. It's like, all right, so you are clearly not very talented, but somehow you just very inefficiently invested $60,000 into your music with this big feature, and you know, it's like we all know where the money's coming from.
Yeah, back in the field with the Trackstarz. Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. What's good?
All right, for all things Trackstarz, visit www.trackstarz.com. Follow us on Instagram at Trackstarz, Twitter at Trackstarz, like the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, download the app.
Sheesh.
Why you breathe so hard?
What you mean? I've been sitting here the whole time.
We got Mogli the Iceburg in the building, Tribe on the move.
What's up?
What up?
You good?
Yeah, I'm doing spectacular, man.
What you been doing, man? Like the tribe is moving. Since the last time you were here, a lot of things you predicted have come to pass. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true. It's been a minute. It's been like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you told me some things you're working on now. At the last time I saw you. So tell them, like, what's the journey at now? What's coming in the future?
So, man, it's been a roller coaster since the last time we talked, man. Everything with Indie Tribe is like accelerated, and that's brought a lot of blessings and a lot of new stresses. A lot of it's just a lot, man. You know, between Dylan signing with Capitol and now he's back independent again. With RG and Reach Records, with just everything, man. It's blessings, and it's difficult.
Yeah,
like super difficult.
So you're seeing like the behind the scenes, how the sausage is made now, right?
Yeah, man. And I mean, like, it's been a sobering experience in a lot of ways. It's been encouraging. I mean, like, I think we always have to come around and like count our blessings and keep perspective with things. You know, it's funny how Facebook does those reminders and stuff. It's like, look what you posted 5 years ago, 6 years ago today. So it's like a couple weeks ago, Dill texted me, and it was like a Facebook auto reminder for his like first Rapzilla submission ever. Oh wow! And no, it wasn't even Rapzilla. It was Jam the Hype.
Oh wow!
And it was before Rapzilla, and it was like a recap of his post. It was like, man, like, I never would have thought I'd be on the same blog right next to Lecrae, and it was like at the homepage, and he's just like as a post right next to, you know, his idol, and it's like, you know, 5 years later he's on tour with them and like songs and crazy. Like everything. So yeah, this it's been a lot, man. Since the time we talked, I quit my job. I was doing music full time for a while. Yeah. That was going cool for a while. We did a little Indie Tribe tour. Some unexpected bills went and smacked me in the side of the face, and then had to get other hustles, other jobs. So, you know, I went from like I drove Lyft for a little while. I bartended for a little while at a Topgolf. I worked for a startup for a little while. And then I, you know, back and forth doing music full time. So actually I was doing music just all summer, and I just got like a crazy blessing. I actually got offered a job at Universal Music Group.
Oh wow!
Cool.
And that's been like a really wild, crazy experience. So, you know, I'm doing that. Dill's independent again, and you know, RG's going on his first headlining tour. Yeah. You know, Jerry's trying to we're trying to get him out to Nashville, man. Like just like get back in that local mix. But it's a crazy time for everybody.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, when did Jerry join the collective?
2000. I think early 2016.
Okay.
Or late 2015.
Gotcha. Okay.
It was after Dill put out Smoke Signal and Summer Camp, and after I put out It was right before I put out Synesthesia. So
Okay.
after my first project.
Okay, I just lost a bet because I told them recently. I heard that somebody had joined Indie Tribe, and they were like, "No," and I was like, "Yes, it's somebody did." So I guess I lost.
Nah. I mean, like, that's not even been something that's been on our mind like
Gotcha.
since everything with RG, and it's dope. There's a lot of really cool things that I'm not at liberty to reveal yet, but a lot of really exciting things
Cool. That's what's up.
that are happening recently and
Wow.
in the next couple months. So.
So you're getting some inside leverage with Universal. You trying to make some deals happen?
Man, I mean, so the job that I'm working now is in video mastering and post production.
Oh, dope.
So
Oh, wow.
it's crazy. We're remastering their entire catalog of YouTube videos.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's kind of unrelated to the music stuff, but you know, the resources, the stability. You know, I've never been healthier. I've never been happier.
Mhm.
That's good.
You know, it's. I don't know. There's a funny thing with money, and I was actually having a conversation with Uzuhan with this earlier today. How like everybody wants to flex about like doing music full time,
Yeah.
and once you've done it, and it's like, you know, if you're doing music full time, but your credit card is your emergency fund, that's not like a lit life.
Yeah.
right.
You know, and then it's like the mental strain of like, for me it was like, all right, like I gotta keep content in the pipeline, because if I'm not doing stuff now, then 2 months later,
Yeah.
you know, my data, my algorithms might suffer, and then
Right.
that means my income suffers, and then like, you know, will I be able to eat?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's not really a super healthy. And then you're just focused on like just making just content the entire time. But if you're spending your entire life in the studio, you're not living life to be inspired to make music
Right.
or anything like that. So I mean, like, I think people just really got to realize, like, get over the pride aspect of trying to just be full-time at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
And just do what works for them, and realize it's like a lot of the people that are full-time are only able to be full-time because their wife is like the breadwinner,
Right.
or
Yeah.
they're still living at home, and then it's funny, there's like double standards, because like it's, for some reason, Christian hip hop and mainstream, it's like kind of considered delegitimizing if you have like another source of income that's not music, unless it's selling drugs, unless it's credit card fraud. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and you see all those people all the time in mainstream.
true.
It's like,
That's
all
true.
right, so you are clearly not very talented, but somehow you just very inefficiently invested $60,000 into
Right.
your music with
Right.
this big feature, and you know, it's like
Yeah.
we all know where the money's coming
Right.
from, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. So last time you were here, you, like I said, you predicted the future on streaming. When a lot of people were pushing back, no, I got to sell CDs, I got to do this. What do you see coming next? Like, because I feel like people are starting to finally realize that streaming is not going away,
Yeah.
and is the main driver of music now. What could come after this? Is this the end? Is this the last phase of music?
Man, I mean, I think it's kind of a scary thought when you think about the platforms and the context, because like I frequently question at this point, like, just how sustainable any of this is.
Yeah.
You know, and when you really think of the history of music business and music consumption, there really isn't a precedent. People want to talk about like the way things were, but there never was a way things were. It's been a constant state of change. You know, like at the most you have like a format for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what's coming next, but it sure seems like we're kind of peaking out there.
Yeah.
You know, I worry about the way music is valued, and that, you know, people just music just isn't worth as much more because there's so much consumption happening all
It's
the time,
valued
all
at
the moment, right? And it's all time based,
Yeah.
you know. So but now it's like you're not just competing with music, you're competing with apps, you're competing with Netflix, you're competing with any other streaming source of,
Yeah.
and attention and data are the currencies of everything.
Yeah.
So, but I think in terms of like what's next for artists, it's just it's ownership, man. Like ownership and realizing your potential, realizing like that a lot of the different standards and dichotomies that used to exist in music don't really exist anymore. There's a lot of a lot of just new spaces that people can occupy. So like there's so many niches that are viable. You don't, and like the ideas of like it's all or nothing, and you know, I'm just gonna not think about any plan B or anything. I'm just going to go to LA and I'm going to make music happen or whatever. It's like, I mean, that the idea of just lobbing Hail Marys made more sense when they were like a lot of more like gatekeeper structure and you just needed that like chance happen. But you have so much agency to take things into your own control now that I think people have to get much more practical, and people have to realize it's like, all right, like, even if somebody's not going to invest in you, you should still be able to invest in yourself and be building other types of skills that can, you know, not ruin your life chasing like a Hail Mary, but build creativity and expression into just your DNA.
So are you saying you have to develop another skill besides rapping? Right?
Yeah,
you got to be able to do something.
Even if
value.
you're just trying to be a rapper, bro, you got to have you got to be a model. Or you've got to be, somebody that's funny that can keep somebody's attention on Instagram stories or Snapchats or something. Like more and more, just like music by itself kind of isn't enough. Yeah. But like there's lots of different things that people can do, and there's lots of skills that if you're trying to be an independent artist have a lot of real world value in just business as a whole. You know, so there's no reason that people shouldn't be educating themselves and really trying to think of like what they can do for themselves. I mean, Ruslan was bringing up a lot of really good points, but even to beyond what he was saying, it's like you kind of don't need anybody at this point.
So you're saying there's like almost a death of the mainstream where there's enough niche audiences that you can build your life off of a niche, even if the mainstream doesn't know who you are.
Yeah, well, and the thing is like, there's niches for everything, and they're all big enough to support somebody if you have ownership, and that is just the key thing, you know. So like from seeing, you know, the business side with Dylan on a major label and RG on Reach, which functions like a major label in a lot of ways. The contracts are very, very similar. And seeing especially other bands that are on, you know, so let's break some stats down. You know, like if you're a band and you know, you make metal music or something, and you're sustaining 1 million monthly listeners. Okay, so you're on a major, now you only get to keep 15% after you recoup. All right, so out of that 15, so now your 1 million monthly listeners has the value of 150,000 monthly listeners, right?
You gotta split.
Right, but now you got to cut in your management, so that's a 15% cut, so that's down 127. So now you know, maybe you have a producer that's taking 20%, so that's another cut. Now you have another booking agent, and that's another 20%. All right, so now out of that 1 million monthly listener shares, like you have an ownership equivalent of 81,000, but now you have 4 people in the band, so divide that by 4.
Good, great.
So, you know, now those 1 million monthly listeners are worth 20,000 monthly listeners to each person. You know, and if let's say, you know, 20,000 people are streaming on average, you know, 4 times a month. All right, so now it's like each individual is making like $350.
Oh my gosh!
And that could be like a real life use case for like somebody that's
and that's why you have
in
to
that
live
type
on the
of
road.
situation. That's why bro, living on the road isn't lit.
It's not.
It's
fun.
not, bro. It's not. And I mean, like, I love playing shows. I love playing shows. Like, it's an amazing. It's amazing to meet the people that are kind of just an idea, you know, because when it's all digital, it's like, you know, 1,000 people seems really, really insignificant on Spotify analytics, but you see 1,000 people in a room, it's like, oh, snap. You know, you meet the people, you see how they've been impacted by your music, and you see what you're doing is real. I mean, that's so valuable. But bro, like, I want to be able to be in a spot where I can kind of do that on demand on my own terms. I'm not down to sacrifice a family for that. I'm not down to sacrifice my sanity, my physical health. I'm a really healthy person, but when I'm on the road,
you have to sacrifice.
You know, like
food,
I'm drinking energy
nights,
drinks. You know, trying to drive. You know, late night. Like it's just not healthy. That's not how we're supposed to be, man.
And then honestly, sometimes people don't know that, but when you on a tour, sometimes you driving that van.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I mean, like the economy of scale is like super crazy. You know,
Yeah.
like you got to hit its thresholds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And until you hit a certain threshold, you're doing everything.
Yeah.
And man, it's rough. It tears families apart. It tears relationships apart.
Yeah.
It tears your sanity apart.
Wow.
So it's like I'm not trying to have to rely on that to live. Like that's super not the life I wanna live at all.
I don't think people talk about that enough because it seems so glamorous. You see the stages with the crowds, and you see these releases that get up in the charts.
People post the highlights on Instagram.
Exactly.
So it's like, most of the time when you see a big show, especially in CHH, if it's not Reach Records or NF, if he's whatever, like if it's a big show and it's not a Reach show, more than likely it's a conference, and those people aren't coming.
There,
they're not coming to the audience. They're there regardless.
And those aren't ticket sales to you.
No. So nobody sees the 15 people shows, and I don't care. Like outside of about 10 people, in Christian hip hop right now, everybody has a night where 15 people show up.
Yeah, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you think that like once you started doing CHH and was like, man, we're gonna kill these shows? Did anybody did deal like, bro?
I saw
15 people.
I mean, like,
okay.
I think that my expectations got kind of overly optimistic early on.
Gotcha.
Because of like seeing the soft ticket events, and it's like, oh, we just got booked at this church, and like, it's their big summer jam and stuff. And like, and also the crazy thing with Christian hip hop live is that none of the economics make sense. None of the economics are real economics. So like, and what I mean by that is like, if somebody has an event and you're getting booked to play at a church or something, it doesn't make financial sense. This is a church that has a programming budget.
Yeah.
More than likely they have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they're not viewing putting on the event as like, okay, this makes financial sense, we'll see a return on this. They're seeing like, we're going to invest this into our community and into the souls of young people. That's their justification. So there's no, like, you can't lose. But then you go into like a live ticket, and that's something I want to brag on Dill. There are really no other rappers in Christian hip hop that are doing like hard ticket, real venue tours and actually can draw. Like Dill's one of the only people that can do that.
How he do that, man? Like I know. I mean, we've had this.
He's put in a lot of groundwork over a long time, and I mean, like he's been able to. Before he was even an artist, he was on the road with Lecrae. He was on the road with Derek Minor.
Yeah.
So he was able to understand the economics and the business of making a successful tour pretty early on, and have his expectations very natural and real. But I mean, like he's put in the work. And when you're building hard tickets, you have to realize that like you have to go to markets and play shows and lose money like a couple times. You have to come back a couple times before you can really develop a market. Even if the data shows that there are people there, you have to go there and you have to put in the work.
Yeah, because so many people in I mean just in hip hop in general, but I know especially CHH, sometimes it seems like they drop a project and then they're like, yo, I'm about to kill this, and they get frustrated because they got placement on us, Rapzilla, and everybody else, but they don't have real fans to come out, and they don't want to tour.
Or like when people make the transition from like, oh, dope, so I made like $5,000 off this show for this conference, and like, oh man, I can kill this. Oh yeah, it's for real. But that, like, they don't understand the economics. Just once you get into the hard ticket side, then it's like people aren't viewing it as ministry. You're not getting these programming budgets and stuff. It's like there's a promoter that's doing the math. They're like, all right, how many people can this person draw to a show? How much money can I make off a ticket from them? And that's what your value is based on.
It's not about Jesus at all. It's all money.
It's all economics. But that's the real world. That's the real world. That if you're trying to compete that way, and there's only there's like 10 people.
I don't think people are ready for that. I don't think people realize that once you leave the church circuit, it has nothing to do with Jesus at that point. Everybody that books you, everybody that you interact with, if it doesn't make them money, they do not care anything about you whatsoever. It's not like,
and why should they?
Yeah, they
why
have
should
no
they?
reason.
Because if you don't make them money, literally they're losing money.
Right.
So like the venues, the bars,
even breaking even is losing money for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why am I here?
Exactly. So I mean, like that's just like that's an area that a lot of people just really don't understand. So for me, it's like, man, like I'm 26. I'm trying to live like passive income. Like I'm trying to be a studio artist. I like to do shows like when I when it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm not about just like going into debt and exhausting myself spiritually, mentally, and physically at this point. You know, like it just like it doesn't make sense. And especially and when you have the ability to have ownership, everything's sweeter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you're one of the best minds in this space, and
Yeah,
I think people need to hear from you more because this, like you actually pulling out your calculator and actually doing the math. People don't think that
I
far.
tweeted it the other day. I think I recreationally use a calculator more than anybody I know.
No, but see, like every time you're on the show, you actually break down actual information. It's not just like, oh, I think this and that. You're actually telling people, no, this is how much a stream is worth to you. Like, I think people need to hear from you more. Like teaching people stuff.
And with the ownership, one of the things that I've been on is I'm allowing like, and it's something I'm developing as we goes and kind of testing some stuff out of myself before I bring other partners involved. But I'm really I'm toying with the model of letting my fans own my music, letting my fans own and invest in my music. So basically, you know, I could work with a record label and they could give me $30,000 up front for 85% ownership over like a 4-year contract. That's a lot of ownership.
That's a lot.
Or I could sell 1% of one of my songs to a small donor, a super fan, for $100 each. So if I sold 20% of 10 tracks, that's $20,000 in my pocket up front, and I own 80%, and it's literally built and funded by the people that believe in me and my vision.
Wow, that's dope. That sounds like a platform idea.
Exactly.
So make sure you get on that.
Yeah. Well, I say I got some things in the works.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think ownership is the wave.
I think you just answered my question. I think that is the future.
Yeah, ownership is the wave because it's like you don't have to do as mass numbers, and a lot of more things become more viable, more flexible if you just have ownership.
That's dope, man. Man, tell them how to find you.
Yeah, I'm at Mogli the Iceburg on Twitter, Instagram, basically anywhere. MogliTheIceberg.
Awesome,
Chill.
man. Let's get back into it. You in the field with the track stars, Ryan Wretched, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Look up.
Hey guys, Miracle here. Thank you so much for watching that episode. Make sure you go below, like it, subscribe, click the bell, and make sure you follow us on all forms of our social media. Also, check out our website and be sure you spread the word. We'll see you next time.
We know not what we doing. Screw that, they know, let them have it, do it. Okay, I'm erratic, prove it. Never mind, got a mind that'll wind up with me in a lineup behind bars with these bars. Okay, my time's up.
Team Freedom.
Yeah.
We not through yet.
All right.
Trackstarz Music presents.
Turn my volume up, turn me off.